Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Friday Ramblings. It is Christmas Eve, which means it's the day before Christmas. And what happens on the day before Christmas? Why, you might fall asleep. And if you fall asleep with too much Christmas anxiety on the brain, you could have a nightmare before Christmas. Ha ha ha! Hey, Christmas Eve falls on a Friday. That means you got to have a Christmas theme rambling. And what better rambling than the most infamous and iconic of all Christmas movies, at least as far as strong cult following and audience full of fans who adore the movie go. That's right, folks. There's one thing you can say about Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. It's that people who enjoy the movie love the movie. And it's no surprise why, because besides the being written and produced by Tim Burton and directed by his friend, I don't know why I can never remember this name. I just had it a second ago. Henry Selick, in which he did make his feature directorial debut for this movie before making other similar stop-motion animated movies. So good on him. You also get an all-star cast, which includes Tim Burton's longtime partner in crime, Danny Elfman, as well as Chris Sarandon, Catherine O'Hara, William Hickey, Paul Reubens, Ken Page, Ed Ivory, Glenn Shaddix, and many more. Real quick, we're going to bust out your technical details, get those out of the way so we can have fun with the reviewing. Nightmare Before Christmas was produced by Touchstone Pictures, distributed by Buena Vista Pictures, which makes it a Disney movie once you get through all the little subsidiary company nonsense. Face it, it's a Disney movie. It was released on October 29th of 1993. And on a budget of $24 million, pulled in a box office of $91.5 million, which means it was profitable even before it left theaters, and has since continued to be due to strong home video release sales for several years afterwards. Yeah? Hey, I own a copy on DVD. There you go. Many, many other people do. Not to mention the massive amounts of merchandise sales. Because people that love Nightmare Before Christmas love Nightmare Before Christmas. It's one of those movies that you don't just kind of casually like it. You get it, and you love it, or you don't get it. You know? But let's discuss exactly what the movie is all about. Since it's Tim Burton, you know there's going to be a little bit of supernatural, spooky atmosphere to it, and he does not fail as he manages to make a movie that perfectly encapsulates everything wonderful about both Halloween and Christmas. Basics of this is that every holiday has a town full of residents who don't just represent the holiday, but bring it to life for the mortals on Earth. And following a successful Halloween, the King of Scares, Jack Skellington, who's not the mayor of Halloween Town, that is a separate character, however, he is the one who does the most to bring some spooks and fun to Halloween, and is thus the most well-respected and popular man in town. But Jack Skellington, as the Pumpkin King, the King of Scares, finds himself feeling that, this is what I do, but is this all there is in life? You spend all year prepping for Halloween, coming up with new creative ways to spook people. You throw it all out there in 24 hours, and then you rest for a day or so, and then start all over again? Is that it? Going on a journey to the very edges of Halloween Town, he discovers a forest featuring trees that link to the other holiday towns. He specifically goes and explores Christmas Town, where, enamored by the completely different atmosphere and aura of Christmas Town and its main man, Santa Claus, he attempts to bring his findings back to Halloween Town. Most of them still being a very supernatural, spooky orientation. The general residents don't really get what Jack finds so appealing about it, and he accidentally creates some misinformation and bad assumptions about the nature of Santa Claus and Christmas by trying to make it relatable to people who don't get it because they've never seen it for themselves. All they know is Halloween. They can't spread their horizons without seeing it like Jack did. Still, Jack is determined to not just bring Christmas to Halloween Town, but eventually gets the full-blown idea of becoming the new King of Christmas, showing that he himself can be anything and everything he wants to be. Having not already conquered one holiday, he has his sights set on another. It should be noted that he is doing all of this not out of any sense of maliciousness, but a sense of spiritual completionist. He has to show to himself and to everybody else what Christmas is and why it is a good thing to have in your heart and soul. He just wants to spread Christmas cheer to everybody he knows and show that he doesn't have to be just Jack Skellington. He can be so much more. In a sense, that is a journey that all of us go through at some point in our life. We look at who we've been as children and teenagers, and as we're getting ready to go off to college and start thinking about our occupations in a serious, make it happen manner, we start questioning, can I be more than I've been? Can I take things up to the next level? Can I learn new skills? Can I see the world with new perceptions and perspectives? This is a journey we all go through as young adults. Jack just hit it a little later than some of us. It's kind of hard to gauge his age since he's undead and has no flesh at all to speak of. Still, in order to pull this off, he does convince some of the local youths to kidnap Santa Claus so Jack can take his place for the night of Christmas Eve. Unfortunately, those three rapscallions also work for the only truly evil person in Halloween Town, Oogie Boogie. A literal sack of slimy, disgusting, just everything icky in life is what Oogie Boogie is made of. And he decides to take over custody of Santa Claus, so he has a new toy to torment. Luckily for both Jack and Santa, there's one person who cares about Jack, both emotionally, spiritually, and more importantly, to just a little bit of extent that Jack got kind of obsessive there, his mental health. Yeah, there's some arguments to be made. There's some mental health metaphors going on in this movie. And that would be Sally the Patchwork Doll. Rebelling against her Dr. Frankenstein-inspired father, she continually reaches out to Jack, trying to understand what has gotten into him and is altering his previous perceptions of what life is, while at the same time trying to demonstrate her genuine love for the man, eventually becoming a very Jiminy Cricket-like voice of conscience for Jack, and taking direct action herself a few times to prevent anybody from getting hurt. I can't go too deep into exactly how it all ends, except to say that, like all good Christmas movies, all good souls get their happy ending, even if there's some stumbling along the way. And really, that's all we want to see from a Christmas movie, for everybody to feel that spirit in their heart. What else can you say about the movie? Well, besides the characters we mentioned, as I said, you have the three youths, Shock, Lock, and Barrel. You have the mayor. You have our mad scientist buddy. You have a variety of townspeople who fit classic Halloween modes. You have witches, vampires, mummies, werewolves. But, as with anything distributed by Disney, especially anything animated, there is music. Danny Elfman not just lending his singing voice to Jack Skellington, whose regular voice is done by Chris Sarandon. Danny Elfman also composes most of the music in the movie, which includes many iconic songs. Such as, hold on, let me pull up Master List so I can quote these songwriters. For people that are not familiar with the movie or the music and want to look this up for themselves, we have This Is Halloween, Jack's Lament, the Jack and Sally montage score, Kidnap the Sandy Claus, Making Christmas, Oogie Boogie song, Sally's song, Poor Jack, To the Rescue, and many others. In many ways, the music fits both Tim Burton's feel of not just this movie, but most of the stuff he's famous for, where it's a little bit creepy, but in a way that draws you in and makes you feel great, while at the same time having just those little bit of hints of Christmas cheer and the great hope that everything will be alright as long as you have love in your heart. So what is Nightmare Before Christmas's truest legacy? Well, let's examine some hard stats. As we said, with years of successful home video sales, Nightmare has achieved the ranks of a true cult film. Nightmare has been released originally on VHS, as it did come out in the early 90s, and has seen multiple DVD releases, including a special edition that had Burton's shorts of Vincent and Frankenweenie. The Frankenweenie short would eventually be expanded to a full movie, but that is another conversation for another day. Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment has released the film on DVD and on Blu-ray disc, as well as 3D Blu-ray, and a DVD that also includes a digital copy of the film, because people love their non-physical media way of watching TV and movies now. Got to keep up with the times. As we said, there's been a ton of merchandise, including action figures, books, games, arts, crafts, fashion projects, and various art of the characters, especially Jack and Sally. Disneyland and the other Disney-based theme parks will host attractions featuring the Nightmare characters anytime between the Halloween and Christmas seasons. And since 2001, Disneyland specifically has given its Haunted Mansion holiday attraction a Nightmare Before Christmas theme for the holiday season, featuring characters, decorations, and music from the film. In Disneyland also hosts Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and Mickey's Halloween Party, featuring the film's characters. And in the Magic Kingdom, Jack will host the Halloween Screams, Hallow Wishes, and Not So Spooky Spectacular fireworks shows during the Halloween season. The film was nominated for both the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects and the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation. Nightmare won the Saturn Award, which is your sci-fi focused award ceremony, for Best Fantasy Film, while Elfman won Best Music. Elfman was nominated for the Golden Globe Award for Best Original Score, and most recently the film ranked number 1 on Rotten Tomatoes' Top 25 Best Christmas Movies list. So, yeah, as I said, it is a modern classic. Disney originally, in the early 2000s, thought about producing a sequel, but wanted to go full computer animation instead of the classic stop-motion style that Burton used. Burton convinced Disney to drop the idea, saying he has always been very protective of The Nightmare Before Christmas, not wanting to do sequels or things of that kind. As Burton feels that the movie has a certain amount of purity to it, being a script that he spent about a decade off and on working on, and that producing sequels just because of the mass market appeal of the first movie and thus the guaranteed profitability of a sequel does take something away from the purity of that film, as you're doing it for money instead of actual artistic inspiration and desire. And on that, I gotta agree with Tim. Yeah. One of the things we've seen in the last few years from the entertainment industry is a lot of weaponizing of nostalgia. Sequels made many years after they should have been. Reunion TV shows. I've already discussed Disney and their live actioning of all their previous animated icons, and go watch that video. Frankly, it probably needs an update because I need to call Disney Plus on to task for some stuff. I really don't like being negative though, and frankly, that video did kind of have some points where I had to talk to some people in private because they are part of my real world life, people I actually know, and basically just go, no, seriously, listen to what I said in that video. I am not saying, Disney itself is inherently bad and everything they do is bad, just that I personally have a negative opinion about this direction they've moved to, where they feel like their old animated classics need to be remade and redone for modern audiences with modern sensibilities. And no, all I'm going to say right here, right now, is a phrase I have often used, which is the reason classic movies are called timeless classics is because every generation can enjoy the movies. So, I don't know. It's just, I'm sorry I had to come off that, but yeah, you don't remake the movie just because it's been 20, 25, 30 odd years. So we're due. Don't make a sequel just because it made money. If Burton really genuinely had an idea for a sequel, Nightmare Before Christmas, he will make it. Because that's the thing. This movie is so incredibly well done as a movie and as a holiday movie that, again, he could walk onto Disney properties any day of the year and just say, I'm ready to do Nightmare Before Christmas 2, and they will write him that check. You may have to argue about how they want it to be animated, but if he said, I've already got the first draft of the script written out for you guys, here you go, they will want to do business with him. Now, however, saying all of that, it should be noted that the 2004 video game, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge, did serve as an unofficial sequel of the film, with Capcom's crew developers going after Burton for advice. And in 2009, Henry Selick did say he would be up for a film sequel if him and Burton could create a good story for it. So it's not that it will never happen, just that it's only going to happen when the best reasons are behind it. Now, as far as the aforementioned video game, as I said, we're going to discuss this for a minute because, as I said, it's the closest thing we'll probably ever have to a sequel, unless Burton just gets some sudden epiphany of inspiration. Nightmare Before Christmas Oogie's Revenge is an action-adventure hack-and-slash video game for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox, and as we said, does serve as a sequel to the film. There was also a Game Boy Advance game made called Nightmare Before Christmas The Pumpkin King, which serves as a prequel to the film. And reception of the game was mostly mixed. Game Rankings gave the game a score of 66.46%, while Metacritic gave it a score of 65 out of 100. IGN reviewed the game saying, unpolished gameplay and poor pacing won't ever make for an outstanding product, regardless of however endearing the source material may be, and gave the game a 6 out of 10 rating overall. Whew, excuse me. Jack Skellington is also featured in the Disney Infinity video game, allowing the character to be playable in the game's Toy Box mode by purchasing the Jack Skeleton figurine, and is among the many Disney-owned franchises that contribute to the mythology of the Kingdom Hearts series. And I'm definitely not going to be touching the mythology of the Kingdom Hearts series anytime soon because, frankly, it gives me kind of a headache trying to wrap my brain around it. Any one individual game is fine. When you try to look at like all the games they made and how they kept doing all these spin-offs and prequels and stuff, and they wouldn't number a lot of them, it's like those people that try to make every game that features Mario in it make sense to one big coherent narrative of his life. It's like, no, it doesn't exist because, frankly put, 95% of Mario games don't give a flip about any ongoing story. They just use the character because the character's awesome. Yeah, no, Kingdom Hearts is, whew, I don't know, maybe I'll tackle that in 2022 at some point, on some level, but yes, besides the prequel and sequel games that were produced to mixed reactions, Jack Skellington has featured in video games focusing on Disney properties as a whole and crossing them over with each other. We come to the big breakdown, the final summary. Should you watch this movie if you've never watched it before? Yes! Should you give this movie a rewatch if you haven't watched it in years? Yes! Should you feel like you can only watch it during the Halloween and or Christmas season? now. Watch any time of year if you really want. Watch it tonight. I don't know if it's up on Disney Plus. I don't subscribe to them for the various reasons, some of which I hinted at earlier in this video. But I would be certainly surprised if they didn't. If not, as I said, it's got enough home video sales, and I'm sure one of your buddies somewhere has a copy of it you can borrow. Check the movie out. It is a truly great Halloween Christmas movie hybrid that's perfect for the season. And most importantly, I want all y'all to have a happy Christmas. We got one more rambling to get through before we sign off on 2021, because it will be our New Year's Eve special. What's going to be so special about it? It's a surprise. You're going to have to wait. You can't unwrap that gift tomorrow. You got to wait 7 days to unwrap it. So, if you don't want to miss the gift giving and the jolliness, you got to subscribe to the channel. You got to hit that notification bell, so every time a rambling hits, or one of the other various videos in the different series present here on Roulette Productions posts, you'll know about it and you can watch it ASAP. For now, though, it is Christmas Eve. I'm going to go spend some time with some family, with some beloved friends, maybe even a lady love. And when it's all said and done, we here at the Ramblings can only promise you that every week of the year, no matter what kind of holiday may be nearing, we're always going to bring you a little positivity and a little bit of love, because that's how we roll. It's all about the entertainment, so let's keep it fun. Bye-bye, folks.